Welcome Insiders to Tech Inside, I'm your host Eric. On October 16th, Apple just held an event talking about Macs, OS X Yosemite, iOS, iPads, etc, etc. Today we're doing a recap of that event. So, intro. Just to let you know, I'm not going to be going in really any specific order, just going to make up my own order, I guess, kind of here. Regardless, Apple showed off OS X Yosemite at the event. OS X Yosemite is their next operating system. They showed some features and stuff that OS X Yosemite has. Nothing new, just what we've seen already. But what is new is when OS X Yosemite is coming out. And actually, it is out. It's out right now. Right now, when I'm recording the video, it's on the Mac App Store, but I can't download it yet. That's a little bit disappointing. By the time this video goes up though, you should be able to download it. If not, that's not going to be so good. Regardless, OS X Yosemite is officially out. Now when it comes to iOS 8.1 is going to be coming out this Monday. Hopefully this video goes up before Monday. Monday is the 21st of October. So this Monday, iOS 8.1 will come out. This will bring out Apple Pay, as well as, I guess, some more features that works with OS X Yosemite for the continuity that OS X Yosemite and iOS 8 share. If you don't know, continuity basically is both operating systems are going to be talking to each other. If you don't know a few things about Yosemite, Yosemite really does connect with iOS 8 if you have like an iPhone. If you get a phone call on your iPhone, it'll connect also to your computer if it's in a local location, and you can actually answer the call on your Mac instead of using your iPhone, just because of the continuity, and I think that's really cool. Also, same thing with applications. If I'm on my iPad with iOS 8, maybe typing out something on the Mail app, I can just jump over to my MacBook with OS X Yosemite, and bam, everything I was typing is right there. Moving on though, talking about the Mac lineup, there is no updates to the MacBook Air, the MacBook Pro, no mobile Macs really. When it comes to the iMacs that we currently have are still in existence, nothing new there. Though there now is a 5K or Retina iMac, a 27-inch Retina iMac. It looks fabulous. Taking a look at this new Retina iMac, is going to boast a resolution of 5120 by 2880, which is just a really high resolution. It's going to look great. I'm going to tell you that right now. People are really going to like this display. When it comes to the processor though, nothing new. Intel hasn't come out with any new CPUs really. They're still working on Broadwell, which is a little bit behind. Though you can get up to a 4 GHz processor that's going to go up to 4.4 GHz. So great speed there. Memory is going to start off at 8 GB. Storage, just a 1 TB Fusion drive. When it comes to graphics, it's a little bit interesting. Apple actually went back to AMD. Now they have the AMD Radeon R9 M290X. That's the starter card, and you can get the M295X, which is going to be, I guess, a little bit more power. It does have 4 GB of video RAM compared to 2 GB, but it's interesting that they went back to AMD. Of course, I mean, realistically, does it matter? No, because Apple's really in control of everything, but it's still interesting they went back to AMD, probably because Nvidia wasn't really producing any new graphic cards, at least that made Apple happy. Yes, Nvidia did come out with their 900 series, and they just came out with their 900M series, but if you realize, the AMD cards have the X at the back of them, and that means pretty much that Apple customized them to put them into their iMacs. So they needed some time to work with the cards so they can put it into an iMac. It's not like an ordinary desktop where you can just shove the card in and make some drivers and call it a day. So that's probably what happened. Since these cards were already out by AMD, Apple was like, we're just going to use these cards, because they knew they needed a really powerful card, and I guess they weren't sure if Nvidia was going to supply a card in time. But besides the display, the CPU, and the graphic card, the iMac is the same thing as the iMacs we already have. So no design change, no really port change or anything like that. If you want to get the Retina iMac, it's going to start off at $2,500. I would love to get one realistically, but don't think it's happening anytime soon. Anyway, moving away from the iMacs, the Mac Pro, Okay, no updates happened actually with the Mac Pro, but going to the Mac Mini, they finally did upgrade the Mac Mini, which makes me happy, and, well, not so happy. Yes, they did upgrade them, they upgraded the graphics, they upgraded the CPU, but that's about it. Nothing really changed. The design-wise, still is the same, which that was fine. I never complained about the design of the Mac Mini, but looking at the processors in it, it's obviously the latest processors we have right now, so that's okay. We can get up to a 3 gigahertz processor, so again, that's okay. That's great. Love it. But looking at the graphics side, we only have the Iris graphics, which are integrated graphics built into the CPU. There is no option for a discrete graphic card, and there's not even options for an Iris Pro graphic card, which is what is found in the 15-inch MacBook Pro. With that said though, the Mac Mini still is a very capable machine. If you need a little computer on a desk that doesn't take up a whole lot of power, that you can just do some web browsing in, word processing, anything really basic tasks, it's gonna perform excellent. Even if you do some light video editing in like iMovie or maybe even Final Cut Pro, yes, it's gonna work, but it's not gonna be that efficient, especially if you're gonna be doing big tasks like tons of video editing, tons of Photoshop work, and that's very disappointing. At the very least, the Mac Mini should be up to par with the MacBook Pros, but it's not. And the problem I think really is Apple just doesn't want the Mac Mini to really compete with like the MacBook Pros. They want you to push to the iMac, or they want you to push to the Mac Pro or get a MacBook Pro. And that's a little bit disappointing because I would have loved to have a Mac Mini on my desk for all editing stuff. Yes, I run a Hackintosh right now. It performs excellent. But in all honesty, this is kind of for a different video, but in all honesty, I would rather get a Mac Mini that's extremely powerful, like with a discrete graphic card, than have my Hackintosh, just because a Hackintosh, it's so much work to run sometimes. I mean, not always. My Hackintosh has been pretty good to me, but still there's those hiccups here and there that you have to deal with, and when you need to get a video done, you don't have time to deal with hiccups, so getting a Mac is always a good idea if you want to use the Mac operating system. And the Mac Mini still to me is not reasonable for me to get because really of the discrete graphic card issue. Also, let's not mention gaming. Yes, I know gaming isn't great on Macs. I'm not supporting really gaming on Macs, but still, even for the games we do have on Mac, not a whole lot are going to play excellent with a Mac Mini. And look at the resolution here nowadays. If I want a 4K display, I don't think I want a Mac Mini powering a big 4K display, or now maybe a 5K display, because there's not a great graphic card built inside of it. Now I can keep going on and on about the Mac Mini, so I'm just going to shut up about it. Regardless, if you want to get the Mac Mini, it's going to start you off now at $499. That is $100 cheaper than the last one, but there's some sacrifices made. The Mac Mini that starts off at $499 actually only has a 1.4 gigahertz processor, which is kind of underpowered, but still, it's okay if you need a simple computer. So before I rant on anymore, let's go talk about the iPads. So Apple came out with some updated versions of the iPads. They came out with the iPad Air 2, which is even thinner than the last generation. Also has a new A8X processor, so it's going to be faster. It's like 40% faster on the CPU side, 25% faster on the GPU side, so that's always good. There's a 16GB model, a 64GB model, and 128GB model, so it's nice they're kind of pushing higher capacities. They also updated the camera, so that's a nice thing, and they finally updated the screen. It still is the same Retina screen that we've had on other iPads, like my iPad 4th generation right here, but now they've improved it so there's a lot less glare, because the iPad really has a very glary screen. Glary? I don't know if that's a word. Regardless, now they've decreased the amount of room between the glass and the screen itself, which reduces, I guess, glossiness, or reduces reflections. So now there's a lot less reflections in the screen, so you're going to be able to see it a lot better, which is definitely a good thing. Finally, there also is Touch ID built into the iPad Air 2. Touch ID is basically a fingerprint reader built into the home button of the iPad, which lets you unlock your iPad with just one finger. And they also have Touch ID in the new iPad minis. Apple announced the iPad mini 3. Basically has a very similar design to the last generation. There now is a gold color with the iPad mini 3. Like I said, there's Touch ID. There's now a 128GB version of the iPad mini 3. And that's about it. There still is the same processor in it, which is the A7 chip. Bit surprised they didn't add the A8 into it. I mean, it wouldn't have made too much of a big deal for Apple to change it, but oh well. Regardless, there is basically everything Apple talked about when it comes to OS X 270, Macs, iPads. That's what happened all at the event. What do you guys think about what happened? Are you happy that anything happened? I'm definitely happy about OS X 270 and also the new iMac. Mac Mini, not so much. iPad Air 2, nice upgrade. iPad Mini 3, really you're only paying for the Touch ID, so that's debatable if it's really an upgrade. Regardless, that's the video for today. Please like this video, subscribe, share with your friends, help the channel any way you can. Anyway guys, my name's Eric, this is Tech Inside, and I'll see you in the next video.